Damian is already here. So, Damian, can you say something? We need to see you. Yeah, hello.
Hey, who's in here? Who's in?
Hello.
Clara, seeing you here.
Hello.
Well, we have in common, we are both from Argentina.
Yeah,
So she lives in Argentina. I live in Los Angeles for 35 years now. It's great to be here.
yeah, and thank you so much. I know that it's 6 o'clock in the morning in Los Angeles, and thank
Yeah.
you that you are with us even that early morning. So,
Yeah.
now, with deep respect, gratitude, and excitement, I'm honored to introduce our speaker, Damian. I remember that you have short time, but so I'll do it very briefly. So, Damian Goldvarg, MCC, ACTS. Damian has 30 years of experience providing leadership training and coaching services in over 50 countries. He facilitates virtual certifications in coaching, team coaching, and supervision, and he was in the 2013-2014 ICF Global President. He has published 10 coaching-related books, including Lead with a Coaching Mindset. So, dear Damian, we are very grateful to see you. Thank you very much, and we are eager to hear your session.
Well, thanks for the invitation. It's great to be here, and I'm glad that Clara gave an introduction to supervision. And I already heard that you share some ideas around that. And we are both passionate about supervision because we believe that it makes a difference in how we are showing up with our clients. And it doesn't matter how much experience we have. We all need to look at what are our blind spots, what we might be seeing different to what we are seeing when we're working with our clients. So I believe, as Clara said, that all coaches benefit from it. It doesn't matter if you are a beginner, you are being trained during coaching training, when you graduate, and then as a master coach, I have been a master coach for more than 15 years, I still need my supervision because I need to look at what I may not be seeing. So it doesn't mean that because we are experienced coaches, we do not need supervision. It doesn't matter how much experience. And as a supervisor, I also need supervision. And as a supervisor of supervisors, I also need supervision. So we always need to get somebody to help us to look at our work. I want to be sure that I am going slow enough for translation. Is that okay? The person translating me, is that slow enough? Or do I need to slow down? Is it working? Okay, good. Because I used to speak fast, so I need to slow down, and I speak fast in all languages that I speak. So Clara have heard me in English and Spanish, and I need to be sure for translation to slow down a little bit. So today I'm going to talk about supervision, and I'm going to share with you some slides. They are translated. So let me see if you can see them. Let me see. I'm going to be sharing my slide. You need to tell me if you can see it.
Yeah.
It's in presentation mode?
It was, but now it's not. It's blinked and yeah, now it's okay.
Okay, great. Okay. So how did I got engaged with supervision? How did I started to learn about it? I was in the global board of directors of the International Coaching Federation for 6 years, from 2010 to 2015. And in these 6 years, many times the question about what will be the role of supervision in the future of coaching came up. And in 2013, for first time, there was a school from the UK, Coaching Supervision Academy, that came to the Americas to do the first training. So I signed up to do this first session at that time with other colleagues, and we were thinking, okay, what should be the role of supervision for ICF globally? And we came back after training and we said, we think that everybody should receive supervision, but it was not very popular. So they checked with some people, and particularly the most experienced coaches, the master coaches, they said, no, we don't need supervision. We don't need anybody to tell us what to do. And I said, no, 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 no. Supervision is not about telling you what to do. It's a reflective space. So it took many years for coaches, particularly in the United States, to really embrace the idea that the reflective space can provide value for coaches. So right now, ICF last year came up with core competencies. As Clara probably have talked, EMCC has been a pioneer of coaching supervision, team coaching, and even EMCC was created before ICF. So they have been a little bit a step ahead in Europe that in the United States and in the rest of the world, particularly in countries like the UK, France, and Germany. Like these countries even have been ahead of other countries that have been behind, like Spain or Italy or some countries in the eastern part of Europe. And if we look at the session today, I want to share what is the definition of supervision. What is the difference with mentor coaching? Because sometimes there are confusion. I'm going to present a model and I am going to do a demonstration with this model. And Tatiana, we have a volunteer already, correct? That is going to be working with me. And I'm going to answer any questions you may have about supervision.
Yeah, of course.
I saw that you already asked some questions to Clara about it. So we continue answering any questions that come up. So what I like to do is in English to separate the word supervision into supervision. Like if you have a vision from the high, it's like you separate, you dissociate, you separate, and you look at your job. So this super, because it's higher vision, allows you to see things you may not be paying attention. So what is the definition that ICF developed for coaching supervision? Is a collaborative learning practice. And collaborative is very important because it's a partnership. So in supervision, we are collaborating. In supervision, we are learning together. And that happens in a reflective dialogue. In a reflective dialogue, who benefits? The coach, the client, but also the supervisor, because the supervisor is also learning together with the coach in the conversation. And I will add the coaching profession, because when all coaches learn and develop and have a space for reflection, the whole coaching profession, the whole coaching professional practice is more appropriate, because coaching is not really a profession, it's a professional practice, benefits from the co-supervision. So this is the definition that I'm going to be using today during this conversation. I'm going to repeat. Supervision is a collaborative learning practice to continually build the capacity of the coach through a reflective dialogue for the benefit of the coach, the client, and I am adding to this definition the supervisors and the learning community and the professional practice of coaching. I like to remind people that supervision has three functions. Has the function of being formative for the coach to continue learning. So coaches, when they are learning in supervision, they bring their knowledge and their skills to the next level. Normative, because the supervisor has also a responsibility to bring ethical conversation when there are blind spots. It may be a blind spot that there is an ethical issue and the coach is not aware of that. So we have a formative, a normative that is related to exploring ethical dilemmas, and a supportive, where the coach has the opportunity to work on their emotions. Many times coaching is a lonely profession, so it's partnering with somebody to look at our work and to get I think so. Okay, can you hear me now? How long have you heard? Till when do you hear me? Okay, great. Okay, so what I was saying about the supportive and restorative function, many times we need to talk to somebody about our experience. Coaching can be a very lonely practice, so this allows to get emotional support, to talk about our emotions, to normalize, to validate our emotions. So that's the reason why it's important to remember that supervision has a formative, a normative, and a supportive function. So these are the three functions. And EMCC developed a competency model that has more than 12 years around that, around these three functions. And Clara was engaged now in revising the model. So the competencies now are a little bit different than what they used to be, with the work of a team that review all of these competencies. And Clara, who just talked before, she was part of that team that revise and renew the competencies for supervisors from EMCC. And interestingly, ICF came up with a competency model last year, and the two models are very similar. What EMCC and what ICF consider what a supervisor needs to demonstrate is pretty similar, and they're aligned with these three functions. Okay. So any question? We can stop here for some questions. If anybody have any questions so far about what is the function of supervision.
Uh, yet, not yet, yeah, not yet.
No questions so far?
Not yet. No.
Okay. So I want to invite everybody to think. If you have any questions, you can write them in the chat box, and then they can translate that to me. So I can answer any questions that you maybe have. And I see that.
Damian, and the question appeared immediately in the chat. So let me read it to you. And what is your personal metaphor of supervision?
Oh, I love that question. One metaphor that I like to use is a mirror. It's like a mirror because it's like a mirror where we see ourselves. And when we see ourselves, sometimes we don't like what we see. Sometimes we like how we look, and sometimes we don't. So this is exactly it. It's like we look in the mirror, and sometimes we like what we're doing with our clients, and sometimes we realize, oh, I can do this better in some way, or something that I'm not seeing. What is great about supervision is after you have a conversation with a supervisor, you can go back to your client and apply what you discuss in conversation in supervision with your client. So that's the richness, and that's the reason why I have been a pioneer of supervision. I have been working on bringing awareness of supervision for years. I developed my own training where I train supervisors on to provide a service for 25 cohorts now, 25 groups. So I believe that supervision really makes a big difference in the work of the coach and in the profession. So that's the reason why I'm really very eager to people to learn about supervision and to engage in supervision. So should we continue? If there are any question, please write it down in the chat box and then translate it, and I'm going to continue with the presentation.
No, let's continue. Yeah.
Okay, great. So one of the differences that I think it's important to know is the difference between supervision and mentor coaching that are different. Mentor coaching is about developing skills. So the mentor coach meets with the coach, the coach share with the mentor coach a recording or live, have a conversation live with the client. And the main job of the mentor coach is to provide feedback. So the mentor coach needs to be trained on competencies so they can provide feedback according to the class. So If the coach is an ACC, PCC, or MCC, is a beginner, intermediate, or advanced coach, the feedback that they're going to receive is going to be different. So the mentor coaching is about skills. Supervision is not about skills. Supervision, in supervision, the coach does not bring a recording to supervision. In supervision, the coach brings the client that is working with and what's happening in the work with this client. What are the challenges? What are their emotions? What's happening to them? How they're showing up? So it's an exploration about who is the coach being with the client. Now, in coaching, mentor coaching and supervision, there is an overlap. If we look at three circles, and it is overlap that has things in common and things that they are different. In which way they are different? In their goals. Coaching is about achieving goals, creating results, and facilitating mindset changes. So the idea is that when we're working as coaches, what we want is our client to get results, to accomplish some goals, and to change how they're looking at the reality. In mentor coaching, the goal is to practice and implement the ICF competencies by receiving feedback. So the key element of mentor coaching is in developing competencies. And in supervision, it's about building capacity. Building capacity means getting wisdom about how we can be more aware of what we are doing, how we are showing up, who we are being, what's happening to us, and using self as instrument. Self as instrument is a very important distinction or idea. Self as instrument means that what's happening to us during the sessions can be information that can be helpful for the coach to bring to the session. Self as instrument means that I am paying attention to what's in my mind, what is in my heart, what is in my body, and bring this information to the coaching session to see how the coach or the client resonates to what is my experience. So I share in which way they are different. In which way they are the same? Well, they are client-centered. The client is at the heart of these conversations. Coaching, mentor coaching, supervision, they all happen in conversations. So when you receive training as a coach, you receive training about how to have coaching conversations. When you receive supervision training, you receive supervision about how to receive supervision conversation, how to provide supervision conversations. And these conversations are client-centered. They always start with an agreement and development and a closing. They are confidential. They are conversational in what the coach is listening or the supervisor is listening. There are questions. There is feedback, even though feedback is more, in mentor coaching is where you have the most. Sometimes you also provide feedback in coaching to the client and supervision to the coach, but feedback is really the heart of mentor coaching. Developing client awareness, supporting the other to bring awareness to who they are being. In coaching, mentor coaching and supervision, the key elements, there is learning, there is unconditional positive regard by being supportive, there is a collaborative, trusting relationship, and we believe that the person we're working have the solutions. Now, what are the kind of things that bring to supervision? What are the topics that coaches bring to supervision? Well, they bring concerns, they bring challenges, but they also bring situations to normalize and validate what they are doing. So the idea is that you don't bring to supervision only challenges or concerns. You also bring what you are doing to validate, to normalize, and to reinforce what you are doing. And sometimes you may also share something surprises that you have, something you didn't expect to happen, questions and insights and learnings. So basically you bring your case, you bring your clients, you start exploring, and in the conversation you start looking at things you were not looking before. I'm going to share with you now a model that is called the 7A model. And I want you to pay attention because I want everybody to get engaged now with me. So I want to ask you to get a piece of paper and a pen to write, or use your computer or your iPad or your telephone, whatever you use to write. And we're going to do an exercise all together. And then we're going to do a demonstration together. But I need everybody to pay attention and to do this with me. So this model is called the 7-9 model. And this 7-9 model has been developed by Shohet and Hawkins. And they work on 3 different systems. The system that is the supervisory system that includes the coach and the supervisor. The client system or coaching system that includes the client and the coach. And the overall system that involves everybody. So we are going to be looking at these different stakeholders. We're going to be looking at the client. We're going to be looking at the coach. We're going to be looking at the supervisor. And we're going to be looking at what is happening around us. And what's happening around us means what's happening socially, politically, economically, all of these different elements that are around us. So for example, in Russia can be how government policies may be affecting your work, how the war with Ukraine may be affecting your work, how the relationship with the ICF Global at some point, there were some challenges, it was affecting the work that you're doing as a coach. So it's paying attention what is happening in society, what's happening politically, economically, and see how that affects our work, all of these different elements. So this model is called the 7-9 model because we are looking at 7 places in these 3 systems. So the idea is that in this model, there are 7 places to look. There are I number 1, 2, and 3 in the coach and client system, I 4, 5, and 6 in the supervisory system, and I number 7 is the overall system. So these are going to be the 3 systems we are going to be exploring together now. So I need you to think of a client that you're working with now, and we are going to go over these 7 I's. So in the first system, the coach and the client, the first I that we are paying attention is the client. Who is the client? So I want you to think of a client that you're working now, and if you're not working now with a client, think about the client from the past. Who is your client? The second I is what have you done with your client? What are the interventions? The interventions is what you have done, what you have asked, if you use any tools. And number 3 is the coaching relationship. If I ask you, how is that relationship? What you may say. And we will go one by one in a minute. So I'm going to explain everything and then we will go one by one. Then I number 4 is the coach. What's happening to the coach working with his client? What are their emotions? What are their experiences? Who is this client remind you when you're working with a client? So I number 4 is part of the supervisory system. In the here and now, what is our relationship between the supervisor and the coach? And in the supervisory relationship, is there any parallel process? And a parallel process is a repetition of a pattern. Is there any repetition between what's happening here and now with us, between what happened between the coach and the client? Is there a possibility that something that's happening right now between us is also happening between you as a coach and your client? And I number 6 is the supervisor. What's happening to the supervisor? What's happening to me right now? When I am working with a coach, what is my experience? What's happening in my body, in my mind, with my emotions? And I bring this using self as instrument to see how as a supervisor I may bring awareness in the coach to what may be happening to them. And finally, the wider context of the overall system, what I was saying before about how society is affecting us. So we are going to be looking at these 7 places. So let's start with the client. So I want you to write down some notes about this, and then I'm going to do a demo in the last part. Who is your client? So think about who is your client, why the client hired you, who was the referral source, if this client working with you is mandatory or they chose you, and why. So some of the questions you may ask in line number 1 is who is the client, what are the concerns, what is the coaching agreement, and how they approach you and contact you and refer, how are the referral source. So this is I number 1. So I need you to write this down. And then I am going to ask about the interventions. What have you done with this client? What did you ask? If you use any tools, 360, if you use any material, any metaphor, like somebody asked me for a metaphor before, whatever you have done, do you think was effective? Do you think that what you did could have been done differently? It's about the doing. So question I number 1 is who is the client? Question number 2 is what have you done with this client? So I want you to write some notes about this. And number 3 is the relationship with this client. If you look at the distance and you look at yourself and you look what you have done and you do this exercise of supervision, let's say like you're in a drone and from a drone you are looking at what happened and how is that relationship, what will you see? And some of the questions you may ask is how was your relationship with this client? And sometimes what characteristics, metaphors, or analogies you may use to describe the relationship. If it would be a dance, what kind of dance would that be, for example? My number 4 is the coach. It's you. What happened to you working with the client? So you remember about this client and your experience. What happened to you? What were your emotions? What was your experience working with the client? What were your reactions? What were your concerns? What was happening to you? And number 5 was the relationship with the supervisor. In this case, you are not in supervision, but if we will be working together, I will be exploring with you what's happening between us in the here and now. The same thing with I number 6. So I number 5 will be what things coming up, working together, what's happening between here and between us. It may be happening also between you and your client. This is a parallel process. And then I number 6 is I will bring myself as a supervisor and maybe answering what you were talking. I noticed that I was feeling, I was experiencing. I had this image. I have this experience in my body. It's talking about what is my experience as a supervisor. And I number 7, you may be able to answer what's happening in society affecting you. What's happening in the bigger systems. If you're a part of an organization or working with this client, is anything happening in that organization? What variables you may want to pay attention to, and how is everything around you affecting the work you are doing? So I'm going to stop here. This is my last slide, but I'm going to stop here because I want to talk to Tatiana with the colleague who are going to work with me. We are going to go through this exercise together. We have 10 minutes to do this before we wrap up. So who is going to be working with me, Tatiana?
Yeah, Damian, we have a volunteer, the representative of Russian-speaking global community. It's Bella. Bella is here. Bella, say something.
Yes, I'm here. Hello.
Bella, thank you very much for accepting the invitation.
Yes, I'm honored.
Great to working together. So Bella, would you like to tell us briefly about as a coach, how much experience do you have? How long have you been working as a coach?
I've been working as a coach for about 5 years. I have around 700 hours.
Great.
I work at a coaching school, working with the students.
Great.
And I have my own practice. And I am a supervisor as well. I just graduated.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so probably this model is not new to you, the 7A model.
Yeah.
So let's have a conversation for everybody to learn how this works. so people who have never seen the 7I model before can understand how is a conversation. So we have a brief, this is a brief demo because we have only 10 minutes. But usually coaching conversation lasts between 30 minutes and 1 hour. This is going to be like a brief short version. So I will ask you to start telling us briefly about the client that you're working with. Tell us a little bit so everybody can learn about your client. Tell us some of these questions with the client, how they approach you. And sometimes in supervision, we may start by asking, do you have any question that you would like to answer? But here is not really a supervision session, it's more like an exercise.
Yeah.
But in supervision, I like to start with two possible questions. One question is, what question do you bring today to supervision versus what do you want to accomplish that you ask in coaching? Or I may ask, what do you think your clients need you to explore today? What do you think your client need to explore
That's a good question.
today about working with the client? So these are possible ways to start. But in this case, it's only an exercise, and I'm going to ask you tell us briefly about your client. What will we need to know to understand the work you are doing?
Yeah, my client, we had 3 sessions so far. So basically, we just started, and this client was referred to me by my friend, a friend of mine. She, the client that I'm working with now, she's a client of hers, but not in coaching or anything. It's just something different completely. And so yeah, so she agreed to try. And what else? What else should I say?
What was the agreement? What was the agreement? What she brought to coaching? What is exactly what she wanted to accomplish in coaching?
She wants to be happy.
Okay, that's challenging goal.
Yes, I know. That's why I'm here.
Okay, so we all want to be happy, don't we?
I think that's the
So,
main
so how do
goal
we
of
go from something?
humanity.
So we need to go to something general to something more specific. So I may ask, okay, from being what is happy for you? Because Bella, what is happy for you, what is happy for me may be different. So do you
Yeah, yeah.
know what is happy for her?
For her, well, she has some issues with her husband. She is not happy about their relationship, and she's not happy how she feels in the relationship. And yeah, and she feels down.
Mhm.
And her kids, and she has 2 kids, and her mom. So it's like a whole system of systems
I think
involved.
that are happening.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes a supervisor, when I hear, that a person is not happy and is not good in relationships, I'm wondering, my first question as a supervisor, that also should be as coaches, is to look, is there any mental health issues?
Yeah.
Is there a possibility that she may be depressed? Is that a possibility or not?
Yeah, I asked her about that. I asked her about her physical health as well, if she has any medical issues. Did she see a doctor, or did she run any tests? Is there any like deficiency or anything? Because I know that all this can affect your psychological state. So I asked her about that. There are some deficiency, like she has iron deficiency, which might also, affect her state, and we discussed that with her. So she's taking something. I mean,
Great, great,
she's
great,
dealing with
great,
it.
great.
And yeah, we talked about depression. She said that she's seen a doctor, and nobody diagnosed her with.
Okay, great. Okay, great.
Yeah,
So this is our responsibility as
yeah,
coaches and as supervisors to have this
yeah,
conversation, to check for that, to
yeah,
be sure that the client may need
yeah,
as a possibility. So we check and then we can continue the conversation. So now we know that she's not depressed. She may be a little under stress
yeah.
in what you're saying in the relationships. And what have you done so far? So we're going to go to a number 2. What have you done so far?
Well, I noticed that my client needed a lot of space. And actually her first question was, can you give me some reference? Can you give me some recommendation what to do? And from the conversation that we had, I don't know, I felt like that might be a problem, you know, in her life. Because she was telling me that I don't feel independent, I feel codependent, and it's not only her husband, but in general, you know. So I gave her space to talk, basically, about her, tell me her story, because it wasn't only, you know, here and now. So I just gave her space, you know. For 2 sessions, she talked it out, and I knew, you know, at some point I was like, I probably should do something here, you know, as a coach. But then I said, I had inner conversation, of course, in my head, and then we agreed that she needs to talk it out.
Great. Okay, so
And
this is important because you know that talking is healing.
yes.
So many times people talk, and in the talking, clarify what is in their mind, what are their priorities. In talking, in articulating thought, we start putting things in order. And unfortunately, most people don't have anybody to listen to them.
Exactly.
So
That's what she said.
listening and being quiet and biting your tongue and not saying anything is more difficult than speaking.
Yeah.
So I tell coaches that to be, when I train coaches for MCC to be master coaches, I train them with silence, engaging in more silence. And silence is your friend. So use silence to get clients to think and to clarify. Now, the question is they're talking, is it talking that helps them to organize an order, or is it talking to avoid talking about what they really need to talk about? Can you hear the difference?
That's a very good point, because on the last session when she came with 2 questions. She said, well, now that I found myself in all these that I laid out.
Geen museum. Ja. Ja, maar ik wil het weten.
Christine?
Need to.
Net zo.
Okay.
Oei.
Somebody open the microphone. We need to close the microphone.
So she said, now that I found myself in everything that I laid out and it's visible for me, I don't know what to do with it. I said, interesting. And by the end of the session, of the 3rd session, she told me that, you know, I realized that I'm not completely honest with you. I said, interesting.
So she started, so in these conversations, in this session, she started getting some insights and some learnings about what was happening. And how would you describe the relationship between both of you?
Can you?
If we go we say I number 1 with the client, number 2, you have you done, and number 3 is the relationship. What would you say about the relationship?
Yeah, I thought about that. It's very difficult to say, because I have mixed feelings about my work. It's like if I describe a picture, I see a picture that we sit on terrace on a nice house, and I'm a host. She's my guest.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm just being a good host.
This is a really nice metaphor in terms of, it sounds to me that you are creating with that metaphor, you are creating a space for her by being the host where she can be comfortable and she can be herself and she can enjoy the experience.
Yeah, that's a new information for me.
Okay, great. Okay. Unfortunately, we're running out of time today. We don't have time to continue with the demo, but it's good for people to get a sense of how these conversations go. So this is not really a supervision session. It's more like an exercise, but we started the conversation, we explored the first 3 eyes. We will go much deeper in a coaching supervision session. But Bella, I really appreciate you answering these questions, and you already got some insight in this brief conversation. You
Yeah.
start looking at something different. And this is exactly what we want in supervision, is that
Yeah.
to look at our work and as a result of that, to have another vision. So unfortunately, we
very
need to
much.
finish here, but Tatiana, I will be very happy to come back in the future to continue working together. So you can count on me for that. I am going to, you're not seeing the anymore. Let's see. I want to share with you before I go my contact information. So if anybody wants to contact me.
No questions. Thank you. We're absolutely in timing. Thank you for this, Damian. Yeah. Thank you for links. And thank you for 7-night model and for this wonderful demo. Thank you.
And Bella, thank you for being open with us and sharing with us. And I hope to come back in the future and continue the conversation and maybe just do one demo, as continuing to do part 2 of the session today, and spend more time in doing a real supervision session. It was an exercise, it was not a supervision session. It was just an exercise talking about the eyes. But I will be happy to come back to do that. Here is my information for people who are bilingual. I don't have things in Russian translated, but in YouTube I have 500 videos. So you can go to YouTube and there is a function for translation. So you can see them in English or Spanish, doesn't matter. And then you translate them to Russian, and you can benefit from learning from demonstrations of coaching, supervision, team coaching. This is everything that I do. And I also have a newsletter. If anybody wants to receive the newsletter, that's in English, and you can also benefit from that. It was great being here, and I looking forward to continue the relationship in the future. And for people who are bilingual, also in LinkedIn, I invite you to connect with me so we can be connected there. That would be great. And Tatiana, thank you for the invitation.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for your support, and thank you for your contribution to development of Russian-speaking community all over the world. So today you was working with a coach from Egypt, Russian-speaking English coach from
Okay,
Egypt.
we leave now. Bye bye. Thank you, Bella. Thanks,
I remember
everybody.
that we were busy, yeah. And Damian left us to make his podcast. Yeah, it's time for podcast just now. Okay, so dear friends, what an extremely extraordinary day it's been, and what absolutely incredible speakers, so profound, so generous, so real. I'll still have goosebumps thinking about the warmth, inspiration, and creative energy we all shared here together. So our gratitude to our speakers. I see that some of them are here with us from the bottom of our hearts. So some of our speakers woke at 6 o'clock in the morning. It was Damian, as you know. Some rearranged business travel plans just to be here. And because of that, we had their privilege to touch their wisdom, to feel their mastery, and be lifted by their presence. So, dear speakers, you're what makes the global Russian-speaking coaching community so alive, so strong, and so beautifully connected across the world. And let this not be the end, but the spark of something ever greater to come. Until we meet again, and yes, we will meet again. And so my gratitude to all the participants. Thank you for this long day. Thank you, you were with us. Thank you for activity, for questions in chat. And please connect with us, with the Central House of Coaching and Mentoring in social network. So my colleagues, I think, will just put it into the chat. So please use this link and be with us, receive news and information about new events. But our International Week of Coaching and Mentoring is not finished. Tomorrow we'll have a special day, a day with Russian-speaking coaches with top MCC Russian speaking coaches. So we'll start at 11. So please come with us. We'll have a full and exciting program. So, and I think that's all for today. Thank you, everybody, and see you tomorrow. Okay. Bye-bye, everybody. Yeah, see you tomorrow.